Good afternoon, everyone. It's Robin Carter with Robin's Creations, and today I'm going to share a tip with your die cutting today. So how many times do you have a pretty little stamp and then you go to die cut it and it's not exactly in the center, and so you have to start over, right? Well, I'm going to show you a way to never have this problem again. So I will be using my Stampin' Cut die emboss machine. So if I shake the camera a little because it's going to be here on my table, I apologize, but I think it's best just to show you all the steps right here on camera. So no more of this, and let's get started. So the first thing you want to use is your Stamparatus. Oh, there went my die of my other one. I'll get it in a second. So I'm going to show you how, using these two stamps and dies. Let me get that one that fell. Things happen. And so I'm going to show you how to have perfect die cutting and stamping with your dies and stamp sets. So, and you know that this fits perfect. I'm going to get my you know the stamp case helps keep these up top. So let's get out these two stamps and let me show you something I do with my stamp storage. So first of all, I always keep this negative piece so that I know I have all my stamps when I go to put them away. So the second thing is, after I apply the cling stamp, I put this plastic that was on this in the negative space. One, these cling so well that it helps it from sticking so hard to the stamp case and it's hard to get out. So that's why I do that, and I do that on each of them. Now, I have a video of how to perfectly align your images, and you'll find that in my on my channel, and I'll show you tips of how to do that, and also totally throw away the piece that's on the back of this rubber. Don't keep that at all. This is from the sticker sheet. Okay, so let's get these two out, that one and this one. And yes, it sticks, and that's not a problem. You just stick it back in there. Okay, so this is the Forever Fern stamp set, and I just love this set. It's a distinctive stamp set. So you get the light and dark shades without you having to do any special thing. So, all right, the next thing you want to do is get a thick piece of cardstock. So that, just trust me for now, I'll show you later. A thick piece of cardstock, and you want to get it so that your stamp isn't right here on the edge. Okay, so you're going to want to put those dies are clinging to the magnet. Put your stamp further away from the hinge. That way you'll get a good impression. Now, one thing I have bought from Stampin' Storage was this magnetic plate, and it also helps raise up the paper just a little bit so that you get a really good impression. This is not a necessary step. You could easily just stamp it with your Stamparatus, or put something, if you're not getting a good impression, put something thick underneath this paper. So another tip, before I close my plate, this cling sticks so well that I'm going to put, and this is just remainder from a sticker sheet, my labeling machine. You could also use this piece in here. Am I on camera? This piece in here, because it's non-stick, but it's kind of big. So I just saved some of my label backings. Could also work from your your glue dots, the negative from it that's left over. So I'm going to put that there, and that way when I go to take this stamp off, I can pull, let me get where I can see, I can pull on this sticker and it'll easily come up. Because when I set up for classes, I leave these on for quite a long time, and the longer you leave your cling stamps on a block or your Stamparatus plate, the harder it's going to stick. So we don't want to have to mess up the stamp just easily put something there that's non-stick so that you can pull your stamp up. Okay, lots of tips there. So I have my thick white, and it could be any color really, but I'm just going to use white to show you, and I'm going to ink this up. This is Old Olive. I hope it's inked well. We're about to find out. Okay. Alright, and then I just let the paper, the ink soak. And this one's not that important because I probably won't use this one, although that one looked pretty good. Okay, while that's drying a second, the next thing you want to do is get some scrap paper. You all probably have junky paper from before you fell in love with Stampin' Up's paper. And so I went ahead and die cut this out. And this is going to be your frame or template for how we're going to get perfect alignment. Okay, so we're going to take this off, and don't take your stamp off. This is also a tip if you're going to do mass production, this right here. So, and that is, yeah, that's the right one, right? Yes, it is. Okay, so see how I can line that up perfectly in the center. Let me do that again. So here's what we stamped. Here's my frame, and I'm going to line up, start with the stem, and get it until you looks like you have equal spacing around. Can you guys see that? Alright, so you want to set that down. Alright, and then I have some Post-it tape. You could also use washi tape. You could use regular Post-it notes. Just something to hold this in place. Let me realign it. Alright, and then I'm going to tape the paper to the white piece. Okay, I'm going to do it also down at the bottom. Oops, and it looks like it moved a little bit. Let me fix that. Again, so you can work with this to get it perfect. And this first one's the only one that's fussy. You know what? I'm trying not to do this with my head over the top with my hair in the video, so it's a little harder. I think that's it. Okay, so now when you take your die is going to sit right in there, and you can feel it when it goes in perfect, and it's harder to move. Okay, so while that's there, just so that doesn't move, because this one's the most important, but you could do it again if it messed up, is washi or tape this one down. Alright, so let me set the Stamparatus aside and clear my table for the Stamparatus, or excuse me, the stamp, what is it? Die cut and emboss machine. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to try to leave it, although I need to put the handle over here so you can see. So again, I have very well loved plates, so you'll just have to bear with me on that. And then so I'm going to stick that in there and run it through. Okay. Again, I know the camera's going to wobble, so I hope it doesn't make you dizzy. Okay, so let's see how it did. Let's get this out of the way. Alright, take our template away. And look, pretty perfect. I probably would have moved a little bit, but I'm happy with that. That is much better than things I showed you earlier where it's way off. Okay, so now we have that, and we can bring our Stamparatus back into place. Although I close that, so I probably have ink. Let me find my chamois to clean that off. And again, my chamois is well loved. Another tip, this is a full chamois comes this big. I cut it in half, And then I cut these two in half so that I have a smaller piece to work with. Alright, let's let that dry. I could speed it along, I guess, with a cloth. Okay, so now we know that this is gonna, when we stamp this, it's gonna fit perfectly. So now you have your template for continue to stamp. Alright, so now I'm gonna bring the Stamp Emboss machine back in and show you that if you're gonna mass produce this leaf for a card, you just need a simple sheet of paper, and to me this helps save your Whisper White paper. And then this template that I made, I'm going to keep in my die case so that I don't have to make that again. So if you end up cutting this, this didn't get in the center, you'll need to make another one, but this will last you quite a while. Alright, so now I have my Whisper White cardstock right here. This feels like the thick. Did I get the thick? Oh well, it doesn't matter. So you can see I cut a thin piece. I think this is about 2.5 inches. So I'm going to be able to get quite a few die cuts out of this. I'm going to do two of this one. Extra piece of Post-it tape there. Alright. So I'm just going to cut these white. So I'm not having to align a stamp. I'm just going to cut several of these white leaves. Alright, so that one's good. Set it aside. Alright, and so this one I can line up very close. Alright, so you can see already that you're going to save on your Whisper White paper, especially if you have several of these to make. And if you're like me, you're always, you work hard to come up with a design for a card. Why not go ahead and make two, right? So I'm just going to make two. I could go on and do more. So since I'm going to show you this again, I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this leaf so we don't have to come back. Right, tape that down just so it doesn't move. All right. All right. Get it going in there. Let's get two of these leaves. Set that one there. Oops, I'm going off camera, aren't I? It's because I have the big shot right here in front of me. Alright, and then let's line up this one. I think if I turn it that way, I'll be able to save even more paper. Okay, one more leaf, and that's all we'll do right now. I'll probably come back and cut several of these after the video. Okay. Alright, now I can get this out of the way for a moment. Okay, so as you can see, this is just an 11 by 2.5 or so sheet of paper, and I've already gotten 4 die cuts, and I didn't have to fussy with, I don't know, stamp and then die cut, stamp and then die cut. So I'm bringing back my Stamparatus with the template inside, and then you can just stick these leaves right in there. Okay, and it should fit perfect. Alright, don't worry about if it's popping up. You can use your, well, use my Post-it tape here to hold that down. All right, now I'm going to re-ink my leaf, stamp, give the ink just a second to soak into your paper. I kind of just rub it gently, not mashing hard. And why is that off? Okay, so we're going to do it again on the other leaf, and hopefully I get better. Looks like I bent the stem of that. Maybe that's why. Let's make sure this is in the corner. That's another thing, to make sure it didn't move. Let's try that again. Okay, it's snug in there. And my Post-it tape is about had its useful life. Alright, wish me luck. You know, I may have to do this again and just get my head in the camera so I can make sure it's centered. There, that one's better. I must not have had this totally in the corner. So, as you can see, you're going to get the same result so long as you keep it in the corner every time, and you should have equal spacing around your leaves. Alright, so we're going to do that one more time, and we're going to use this other die cut just so you get, so we can go through the process one more time. Clean that die, and I'm going to flip this one over. And again, you can take this off, and if you decide you want to make more, not a problem. You haven't taken off your stamp, and this still is going to line up perfectly. So now we're going to use this stamp, and I had another piece of thick white. That's it right there. So again, put that in the corner, and then put your stamp somewhere away from the hinge. It'll just help give you a better impression. Okay, and then I have another piece of my non-stick backing from my label maker. You could also use leftovers from your glue dot roll. Alright, everything's in the corner. I'm going to put the magnet down, and I'm going to ink it again with Old Olive. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and clean it because I'm going to close it. Okay, I put my washi here because when you just use the base, it really sticks well, which is a good thing. Okay, so you need to make a base template just like we did here with this die. This die. And I was pretty sure I had one made already. Here it is. So again, just scrap paper. This is only to line up your stamp set or your stamped image with what's going to cut. Always when I get a video, you get a tickle in the throat. Okay, so I'm going to bring this a little closer to me. Hopefully it's still in camera without my head, so I can get that lined up. Okay, that looks good. I'll steal my washi again. That's not washi, that's Post-it tape. Alright, more Post-it tape. Oops. And it looks like I moved it, but when I put the tape down. So let's do that again. Like that. And I like that. Alright, so now it's time to bring in your die cut and emboss machine. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, and then your die you couldn't probably hear that, but I hear it do a little snap when it's in place, and it's hard. You can't really move it. That means it's right in the center. So I'm gonna see if this washi will work. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna die cut this. This out of the way. And guess what? That wasn't perfect. So if it's not perfect, you can do it again. So you'll just need to make another template. Maybe it moved. So you can get rid of this one. I have more scrap that I can cut. And again, this is just like a card base that messed up, like I scored it too hard and it had a hard crease. So I'm just going to use it. Alright, let's try that again. Hopefully, yep, it fits. I didn't even measure that. I was just like, well, hopefully it fits. Alright, so let's stamp it again. I'll use all new tape next time because that tape may not have been real sticky. Alright, clean it because I'm going to close it over here. Okay, so when first you don't succeed, you try and try again. So, okay. Now we take our template again and make sure the stem is lined up. It's still wet because this is kind of paper. Okay, that looks good. Did I get my head in there? Alright, stay. And just for good measure, I'm going to get one new piece of Post-it tape. Okay, so can you see that? It looks like equal border. Okay, stick him in there. New little strip of Post-it tape. Okay. Now another thing on this die, see how they put little dots there? I think it's so you can peek through and see your leaf. Not positive, but that's my guess. Alright, so bring back the die cut and emboss machine. And let's hope we do better. Okay, the reveal. Much better. Now that one is pretty perfect. So we know this will be the one that fits perfectly in the Stamparatus, so we can stamp as many of these as we want, and they'll all be in the center. Alright, so you want to put this in the center. And if you remember from earlier, we cut 2 of these. Oops. This one's a little... Right, you want to fit it in there. And I'm going to use a piece of this to hold this down. Alright, where'd my old olive ink go? Am I still making sure this was still in the camera because I zoomed in a little bit. Stamp, give it just a second. So see, this was the one we didn't quite, or I didn't, not we. I didn't quite line it up right with the stem. So that can go in the recycle bin. Alright, perfect. 2, and we'll just do this other one while we have it. So again, you could sit here and cut and cut and cut, or stamp, just cut a whole bunch of white pieces to fit in there, and you could stamp away. And always make sure but double check that your template didn't move and that it's in the corner. Oops, stem didn't quite ink up. Okay, and I just love the stamp because it's gives you the variation shades of green only in one stamp. So that's my tip for today of how to get perfectly aligned leaves, and you can do this with any stamp set, and die, matching die. So again, you can keep this piece, your junky frame, in with your die, so you don't have to cut this every time unless you've messed it up. And then, so long as you don't move your stamp, you can go in and cut white dies and then stick them in your template here and make as many of these leaves as you need for your cards. So, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. I will be watching. And I also showed this during my video on the color and contour class, the first of 2 of the videos. So I think I did a better job there. So again, I showed you we are all human. We can mess up, and it looks like that one got bent is why. But you just do it again until you get it, and then you'll have perfectly aligned dies. So let me put these on the magnet and give you a close-up. I can just flip it over. I think it's white. All right, I'll take this off. Obviously, I should have re-inked that one. But guess what? I could still stick it back in there. Do we want to see how that does? I think that's a good idea. So, let's see if everything is correct. So, since I use the magnet, I want to still use the magnet. Because I think if you change how high it is, it could change how it stamps. Alright, we're going to try this one again. And I lost the magnet. Somebody tell me where it is. Here it is. Okay, in the corner. Alright, flip this around to this stamp. Set that there. Alright, and we know we need this leaf inked up. So a lot of times what I'll do, if I know I just need that part, you could stamp the whole thing, but I think it'll make the rest of it darker. So I'm going to get my spot out. Let's see, old olive. I store my spots in these old clamshell cases where I unmounted my wood mount stamps. And I also have a video on my channel of how I did that. I think I said convert wood mount to cling mount. So that's the name of that video. Okay, so I'm just going to ink that leaf. Wish me luck. It worked. So I think I need to let it soak just a second longer because I still could see ink on the stamp set. There we go. So we fixed that one and no waste of that stamp. Okay. Alright, again, if you have any questions, please leave them in my comment. If you are my subscriber, thank you for subscribing to my channel. And I would really appreciate you giving this video a thumbs up. You can like and share it with other crafting friends that you may have. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I really would appreciate you subscribing to my channel, and you'll receive notifications. So I will be using these leaves that we just made for my next class, which I'll be doing videos of those cards soon. It's my bird class, and we're going to be using Forever Ferns as some greenery. We're going to be using the Free as a Bird stamp set, and also the birds and more stamp sets and die cuts. So I'll be using this technique on doing the birds with my class members. So hope this helped. Hope you're having a great weekend. Until next time, we'll see you later.